Hello, my friends. Welcome back. So I'm back for this weekend. Been kind of busy, so I haven't been able to come on live for a while, and I forced myself to do it today. And seeing as how I'm feeling rather relaxed, I thought I would talk about meditation. So the title of this is going to be the 6 types of meditation. The truth of the matter is there are thousands of types and styles and variations of meditation. And it's important to understand that because, especially now, we like to package everything into one size fits all in our modern society. And, the word meditation is thrown around and there's so much charge associated with it. And if you ask the average person what meditation is, they will say, oh, meditation is emptying the mind. And I've heard this throughout my tenure as a teacher, a spiritual teacher. When I say, oh, sometimes people ask me what I do, and I just kind of pull something out of my rear end and I say, oh, I teach meditation. And people go, oh, I'm not very good at meditation. And I go, why? And they say, well, because I can't empty my mind, or I can't sit still. And they're operating from the superficial, understanding of one-size-fits-all meditation, which meditation means to them just sit and empty your mind. And, if you've got an unconscious that has not been cleaned, and if you're like the average person living in modern society where, we live at a very fast-paced, in a fast-paced world, and we've got so much to do, and we're constantly being overstimulated with internet and television and radio and, all that kind of stuff. It's very hard to get to that place of emptiness. So I want to challenge that. If you are somebody who enjoys stillness meditation, that's great, and we will talk about that. But what if you're somebody that doesn't just like that whole idea of stillness meditation? Are you one of those people that when you sit down to meditate that you judge yourself because you can't empty your mind, and then you think, I'm not spiritual enough? Are you one of those people where you see people like me talking about meditation and you think, they think they're so spiritual and I don't need that meditation crap? Well, I'm here to tell you that I'm with you. I'm not one of those people that can just sit down and empty my mind. It's just not the way that I'm wired. There's stillness meditation, the actual practice of it, and then there's denial. There's New Age denial. I mean, I won't mention any names, but there are a couple of very famous teachers out there who talk about enlightenment and having achieved a state of enlightenment, and they talk about having an empty mind and all of that. And I've listened to these people, and at least from my perspective, what I hear is denial. I don't hear that they've achieved any real deep spiritual, attainment. What I hear is that they have this ideal of what enlightenment and meditation is, and they're going to project that on, and they're going to pretend. And so you have a lot of people who are pretending. And I don't have any thoughts, I don't have any feelings, and meditation is not an escape from your painful feelings. And so we'll talk about that. Stillness meditation, for those of you like me who can't just simply close your eyes and go into an emptiness state. Stillness meditation is the result of having achieved some energetic states, which can be done. You, especially if you're one of those people, you got an active mind or you've got an active body, and you can't sit still or you can't shut your mind off, then I'm going to be giving you some things that you are going to love, because the truth is that, stillness meditation is only one kind of meditation. There's these other, thousands of types, but the 5 others that I've listed. So let me go through that list of what the 6 types of meditation are. Again, I'm just randomly picking the 6 that I'm aware of. There are so many types. But you have your stillness meditation. Then there's deep breathing. Now, the great thing about deep breathing is that when you breathe deeply, you automatically put yourself into a altered state of consciousness, a shamanic state of consciousness. Deep breathing is very helpful to access the emotions and release the emotions so that you can get to a place of stillness. But you can't just jump into a place of stillness if you've got a bunch of stuff that needs to get dealt with. So the second is deep breathing, and then you have moving meditation. I just finished doing my favorite kind of moving meditation. I just came back from doing some afternoon surfing. And there's nothing in the world that makes me happier. And it's a very, surfing is hard work. It takes a lot of upper body strength. You got to paddle, especially where I live. There's a long paddle out, and the waves, the beach comes in, and the beach break waves come in, and I got to paddle out through all those waves. It's a lot of work, a lot of hard work. But that helps me to achieve that emptiness, that meditative state, especially when I'm surfing a wave. I just get into this zone, and it's the best meditation for me there is. So there's other kinds of moving meditation, the ones you're aware of, like Tai Chi. Yoga is a type of moving meditation. Especially the kind of yoga that I used to teach and practice, which was Kundalini yoga, which was very physical. That was a very meditative practice. It had a lot of moving involved. And then you have visualization. I'll talk some about that because I think a lot of, you can go online onto YouTube or whatever and, have somebody guided meditation. And in my experience, a lot of these guided meditations really are just, they're ways to be hypnotized. They've got some hypnotic effects to them, but they're kind of just for the intellect to play around with. And nothing wrong with that, but I wouldn't consider that meditation, the majority of that stuff, because it really doesn't accomplish anything. Somebody else is guiding you through their idea of what your visualization should be. And anyway. But there are some visualization techniques, and there's meditations that do, especially some very deep Negong, internal energy work, some really deep, powerful meditations that do require some type of visualization where you visualize where you want the energy to move and all that kind of stuff. And then we have one of my favorites, which is mantra meditation. So mantra meditation, the word mantra comes from the Sanskrit, which means to protect the mind or to transport the mind. Now, that's great. I like that because mantra meditation is helpful for me because I have one of these active minds that, there's all kinds of just garbage spilling into my mind all the time. I mean, I'm just going to be straight with you guys. I teach a lot about spirituality, and when I work with people, a lot about spirituality is taking action. That's different from denial, where you pretend you don't have a feeling and you pretend to be something you're not. But let's say you're not feeling super spiritual at the moment. You're angry, you're upset, or you're fearful, or you're worrying about something, you're anxious. There are actions that you can take. You can take the action that is appropriate in the moment without denying your feeling. And the end result is that people will have this experience of you, of being very grounded and very rooted. And, that's what true spirituality is. True spirituality is not this state of being. This is part of our Western culture. We get all wrapped up in how we're feeling in the moment. And again, I'm one of these people that, of course, you have to deal with your emotions, but we judge ourselves based on how we're feeling. And this is why we've got such a culture that is so addicted to being stimulated through chemicals. Cigarettes, coffee, alcohol, marijuana, drugs, TV, internet, video games. These are all ways to stimulate us into having a feeling. And so we judge ourselves based on how we're feeling all the time. But let me just be clear with you guys. If you don't know me, maybe you only see me, through these videos or whatever, or even people who work with me in person, they have a certain experience of it. But trust me, I've got all kinds of crazy crap that goes through my head all the time. All kinds of really self-defeating thoughts, really lots of negative self-talk just goes through me all the time. It doesn't matter. You don't have to act on that stuff. It's when you act on what you know to be true, when you act on what is connected to your maturity, when you act on true selflessness, which is a lot of people running around thinking they're being selfless when actually they are not. They're being very selfish, and they're projecting onto others their need to be taken care of. Fixing others and helping others is sometimes a way to avoid what's really going on with you. So just know that you can be that spiritual person. If you have this judgment on yourself that you're not spiritual enough, I can tell you that you don't have to reach this state of enlightenment where you have no problems in order to be a spiritual person and to be perceived as a spiritual, mature, empowering person. You can still be human. So that's mantra meditation. I could go on, and I probably will. And then we have breath signature meditations. I could have put a seventh one there, which was the original way that mantras and sounds and chants were originally done, which was with there's a certain technique that I teach in the book Rune Shamanism. If you ever get that, if that technique on how to chant the runes, if you use that with mantra or if you use that with sound, that will immediately put you into a state of shamanic awareness. That's the Huul breath, the H-U-U-L. You can type that in. H-U-U-L breath meditation. It'll come up on my channel. If you practice that, that will immediately put you into a state of stillness. If you want to know what stillness is, that will immediately put you into that frame of mind. So we're going to be talking about those, and of course we will be taking questions, and that's kind of what I wanted to do today, was just open it up to a lot of questions, and if there aren't, then we'll talk about meditation and whatever. So let me just go ahead and see who's online, and if you have any questions. By the way, again, the best way to interact with me is to leave me a question in the Q&A here. Not if you're watching this after it's been recorded, you can type however you want. But if you want to get my attention on the Q&A, type question in all caps, and then you can write in normal. You don't have to put the whole thing in all caps. And just that will let me know you have a question for me. Otherwise, then I won't get in the middle of you guys talking to each other, or people who just want to throw out their opinion or whatever. That's fine too. What I would just like to see is the word question, and that way I know you have a question for me. So let's go ahead and see if there are any questions here for you. For me, sorry. If there are any questions for me. I'm not seeing any questions, nothing coming up here off the bat here. So, all right, so let's just go ahead and get started. Let's talk about stillness meditation. So, if you were listening to me earlier, you heard me talk about the criticisms I have about the stereotype of meditation, which is stillness meditation. I'll repeat myself again. Since I've been teaching mantra and meditation and yoga and qigong and tai chi and martial arts and all that kind of stuff, when I tell people I teach meditation, the first thing a lot of people say is, "Oh, I don't like that," or "Oh, I can't do that." And I say, "Why?" And they say, "Oh, because I can't just empty my mind." So what's important to understand is that this type of meditation, of being in the state of emptiness, is the result of other practices. So let me share with you what yoga is all about. If you're driving past your typical neighborhood yoga, I was going to say yoga store, your yoga studio. And by the way, there's a huge number of yoga practitioners and a huge number of yoga teachers who have no real understanding of what yoga is, what the whole point of it is. And so, long story short, I won't get into the whole history because I have done a video on that. If you want, you can look that up. Yoga, the postures and the movements of yoga are designed to get the body prepared for meditation. And that's one of the things that doesn't happen in a lot of yoga classes. They'll do a yoga class and they may do a really powerful physical yoga, which I think is great. And they'll do that for whatever it is, half an hour, an hour. And then you might get 3 minutes of warm down meditation if you're lucky. But the whole point of yoga, hatha yoga, right now we're talking about hatha yoga. The whole point of all those stretches was then to put your body and your mind and your energy into a state that you could then go into your meditation. So you would do your yoga for a half an hour or an hour, and then you would sit for an hour, and you would either do your breath meditation or your mantra meditation, or you would just go into a state of stillness. But that's what that whole hour of stretching was about. That whole hour of stretching was to get the body prepared to go into meditation. And so we have a lot of people now that, we have these meditation workshops and people go and they do a little bit of deep breathing and then they try and get into some emptiness. And then you end up, again, as I said, you end up having this problem of where there are some people who do have this ability to go into an empty state of mind. I had a student that was very good at that. And then you have the people like me who, their mind just will not sit still. There's all kinds of stuff running around in it, and you judge yourself, and you say, I'm not spiritual enough, or there's something wrong with me. And then you have people who just go straight into denial, and they use that emptiness as a way to just stuff their feelings down and pretend they don't have any feelings, and then they put that weird passive-aggressive smile on their face and the crazy look in their eye, and yes, namaste. How are you? I love your bag. And there's, you ever been around people like that? The same people like you see at church. Welcome, praise the Lord. Come on in, we love you. These are just people who have some serious stuff they're shoving down. So it's important to understand this. I think that this denial that I see in a lot of Western spirituality, the denial, again, I could throw out names, I'm not going to, of spiritual teachers who I think portray, teach people to go into denial, teach people to judge themselves and to judge others, who, the whole love and light thing, I'm always happy and feeling love and lightness and beauty all the time. That kind of denial is incredibly destructive. I don't think it's cute and I don't think it's okay. It's why I go after it. I would much rather have somebody be able to verbally own their feelings and tell me what their feelings are than to put on a smile and pretend to be, happy when they're not. I have this is kind of my thing, because I do have an ability to sense people's unconscious. If you've ever worked with me or counseled with me, you know that at some point I can get to your unconscious pretty quickly, what it is that you're really feeling on an unconscious level. And I always thought that everybody was like that, and so I would get really bent out of shape when I was around somebody that was clearly in denial of their feelings. And to me, it's like being violated. It feels like violence to me. I don't like it. I really don't like it. But I feel comfortable when people are able to own their feelings, even if they're feeling angry, as long as they don't, directed at me, as long as they're able to own it and say that they're angry and feel it, that makes me feel good. That makes me feel comfortable. I like that. So that's stillness meditation. The whole point of it is that stillness meditation, if you're like me, in fact, I would even suggest this, that if you want to learn meditation, forget about stillness meditation for a few years. Just forget about it. Go after the other kinds of meditation until you can clean yourself out, that you can open up the meridians, get your body full of energy, get rid of all the gunk. First off, stop using chemicals to achieve a meditative state. I've heard people, I've heard people talk about marijuana this way. Like they'll say that, oh, I only smoke it to help me meditate, meaning I don't do it to feel good or to escape. I use it to help me meditate. Well, it doesn't work like that. Anytime you're using some kind of outside stimulus to get you to a state of mind, that is actually taking energy away from you. It is a way to push things into your unconscious. It is a way to denial. Having said that, I have no problem with anybody using anything for an actual medicinal purpose, and marijuana clearly has a lot of healing properties, so I'm not at all against that. But I am against the false spirituality behind it, and against and using power plants for the same reason. Oh, I use it to help me meditate. You have this ability within you. All of those chemicals are available to you all the time. All the time. And you may have to train yourself to do it, just like, when you're doing some type of physical exercise or sport, you may have to get your body into shape to be able to do it. That's okay. But this is why the Vedics and the Taoists stopped using power plants, is because they found out very quickly that there was a science to this, and they could get themselves to greater states of shamanic awareness and release those same chemicals without having to have something outside of you to stimulate you into that state. So the whole point of this, again, is that stillness meditation is not something to force. You can't force it on yourself. And it definitely doesn't work when you're judging yourself because you can't feel like you're in a state of stillness. And so for those of you, if you do use any kind of outside stimulus to get you to that meditative state, watch what happens when you stop using them. You'll find all of a sudden you are no longer in that state of pseudo-equilibrium. You will find that you have all kinds of physical and emotional things flying around. That means that you are gaining health. That means that you're gaining strength. Because when you continue, especially when you do things like celestial qigong, if you continue doing that, you will get to the state when you start to do the practice, you can immediately go to that place of emptiness, that place of stillness. Again, the whole breath. That's a very powerful method of doing that. Anyway, so that's number one, stillness meditation. Stillness meditation, for most of us, is the result of doing some other kind of energetic practice properly. But it is not, for most of us, something that we can all just sit down and do, even if we've been doing this for years. I can't just sit and go empty. I have to have some kind of other thing, at the very least, the whole breath or some other technique to help me get there. But once I've gotten the energy moving, if I've been doing my energy work, or if I'm doing yoga, if I'm doing qigong or tai chi or whatever, then a lot of times when I'm done with that, then I can very easily go into a very deep state of emptiness. So, again, stillness meditation is the result of meditation. It is not the focus of meditation. Okay, so let's see now if there's any questions. I'll go ahead and open it up for questions now. I've probably been sufficiently controversial. All right, so looking for the question. Nostradamus question. I have a book on Kundalini Yoga. Can a book accurately teach yoga, or should I seek out a teacher? You should always seek out a teacher. Nostradamus, I think you're about to start working with me, if I'm correct here. I would hold off on the Kundalini Yoga. If you're doing the Qigong, the Celestial Qigong, or the other things that I teach, by the way, go on to my channel and look at Qigong, look at meditation, look at things like Hool breath. There are plenty of things on there. There's more than enough. So I wouldn't recommend getting into Kundalini Yoga. That's if you're doing that, because that's a whole other thing. And, you know, it's not a thing about me wanting to control what people do or don't do. It's that when you're dealing with a real tradition, an authentic tradition, that tradition will have a lineage energy to it. And the lineage energy of this is a very specific, very powerful energy. So Kundalini Yoga is also a very powerful energy signature. And if they're at different vibrating levels and you do two kinds of traditions at the same time, powerful traditions, if those vibrations aren't synced up, then you create this sort of like sine wave, and it can be really destructive. So that's why teachers are there. So yeah, I mean, learning from books is just generally not a good idea when you're talking about wanting to learn a powerful tradition. I teach a very powerful tradition on video, but I have specifically tailored what I teach so that it won't be harmful. That's why Celestial Qigong doesn't have the same kind of rules that a lot of high-level Qigong has, which is you have to do things in a certain order, and if you don't do things in a certain order, you can, you know. So I specifically created it so that people could take it for as little or as much as they want. They could pick and choose and go out of order, because that's what people do anyway when they don't have a teacher. Most people are not disciplined enough, and they just do whatever the hell they want, however they want it. Oh, I like that, I don't like that. And that's okay. So knowing that that's what I was catering to for a lot of people, I made sure that what I teach online, what I teach in video, is not going to be harmful. But at the same time, it doesn't mean you want to go around and start, you know, this is another thing people want to do. They want to try everything. You know, they want to try this, they want to try that, they want to try this, they want to do 800 different things at once. And that's, again, part of the monkey mind of the modern society. So short answer is it's great if you want to get the book and read it. I would not recommend trying to get into it without a teacher. If you want to work with me, I would stick with what I teach. If you want to get a Kundalini Yoga teacher, you should go ahead and do that. I would say pick one or the other. Don't do both at the same time, you know. And I have tried mixing a lot of different things, but that's after, you know, decades of working with different lineages. So, okay. So I hope I answered your question there. Okay, moving on. Compassionate Viking. What an enjoyable name there. Question. A bit. Okay, maybe a lot. Off topic. Sorry for that, but I am curious though. Are you a vegan? And if no, why not? Compassionate Viking, you must be new to the channel. I have spent whole videos talking about that. Before I answer your question, why do you care? Why is veganism important to you? Is it because you're thinking of becoming a vegan? Is it because you already are a vegan and you're testing me to see if I'm going to be a vegan too, and then you'll listen to me? Why is this important to you? I'm going to answer that question with a question. And maybe we'll get into a conversation about that. All right, original source energy question. Question. You just said at times you also suffer from the self-sabotaging inner monologue of the mind, but is it fair to say at your level you hold a quiet mind through most of the days? Well, again, I want to ask you that same question. Why does that matter to you? You know, at my level, you heard me chuckle when you said at my level. I've never said I'm at any level. I mean, yes, I do say I'm a master shaman and all that, but all that means is that I have the ability to teach certain techniques, and I have the ability to verbalize and explain certain spiritual concepts. It doesn't mean I've achieved any level. And let me be clear, I've worked with very powerful spiritual teachers who had very high, I mean, the energy levels that these people had and the things they could do was phenomenal. And they were some of the least spiritual and mature people I'd ever met. So let me just again, why is that important to you? Why do you care? Are you asking me that question? Do I hold a quiet mind through most of the day because that's what you're hoping will happen for yourself? Are you asking me that because you are, again, testing me to see if I'm what you think a spiritual teacher should be? Does it frighten you to think that maybe you will never get to that level where you will have days where you can't just simply choose to have this, how did you put it, quiet mind through most of you during the day? So let me just ask you that question. Sit with that for a little bit. I have no problem answering both of your questions, by the way, but it's important to take a look at our assumptions and our emotional agendas. So what is your emotional agenda behind that question? Why do you need to know that? All right, moving on. Let's see if there are any other questions here. No questions. Question, off topic, but do you do natal chart readings? Big homie, do you mean astrology readings? I do Vedic astrology. I'm not sure what you mean by natal chart readings. I do astrology, Vedic astrology. For that, go to astrology.thunderwizard.com. Okay. By the way, for those of you who are interested in the Vedic astrology certification courses, it's coming up. It's almost here. I still haven't figured out exactly what to charge and that kind of thing, and I still haven't figured that part out, but it's coming up soon. So keep your eyes open. Definitely before this month is out, I would say almost 100%. Before this month is out, I will have that. So if you're interested in that, you can email me at info@thundershamanism.com. Put Vedic Astrology Certification in the subject line, and then I will let you know when those courses are ready. All right. So I think we've got a lot of new people. You guys are asking me a lot of questions, I think, about things. All right. So let's see. Johnny Delgadillo says, question, how much would a reading on putting my little shamanic practices and learnings to a practice for becoming profitable and staying in practice, how much would a consultation for that? That was a big question. You're asking me how much is a private consultation? Go to career.thunderwizard.com. It's the same. All of my private consultations are an hour long and they're all the same. They're $108. So it doesn't matter what the subject is. The apologetic question, what are my thoughts on tobacco? What do you mean? As a source of shamanic use? What are my thoughts about cigarettes? A lot of assumptions here, guys. You guys have a lot of assumptions, I think, about shamanism. My thoughts on tobacco is that tobacco is a chemical. It is a drug, and I know that it was used by Native Americans, and the kind of tobacco they used was extremely powerful. And I know it was used for shamanic experiences. So let me, while I'm on that, let me talk about the difference between using power plants in traditional shamanic practices and the way that they are used 99.99% of the time by the rest of us who are trying to be shamanic, especially if you're a modern Westerner. So pick your power plant. I don't care if it's mushrooms or peyote or ayahuasca, or pick it. In traditional times, what would happen is that you would have a master shaman, and he would decide who did and who was not going to partake in a ceremony. So he could look at you, and either he knew you, or maybe he could see into your aura, or he could feel, or he could sense, that you needed to be cracked open. And that's what power plants are about. Power plants are not like exercise machines at the gym. Exercise machines at the gym are the things that you use all the time to work out, and you use them all the time. You want to use them. They're there to help you. They're there to empower you. Power plants are not meant to be like that. That's something you use on a regular basis. They were meant to be used very sparingly and only if you needed to be cracked open, because that's what they do. They crack open your aura. And we could talk about what I've talked about what marijuana does. What marijuana does is you have a gate at the base of your spine. that filters and life force energy that's coming in from your aura. It comes up your spine into your brain. So when you breathe a lot, when you do a lot of deep breathing, you'll feel your mind will get kind of spacey. That's because you're bringing energy from your aura up into your brain. Your brain and the chemicals and the glands are enjoying that and pulsating from that. What marijuana does, that little gate at the base of the spine goes, it opens it up like this, and it like a vacuum cleaner sucks all of the energy out of your aura and up into your head. That's why your head feels like it blows up like a balloon. That's why you feel like, wow, man, everything, and you get really hyper-focused on little things, or you watch things. It's because your brain is so filled with life force energy as well as whatever else the chemicals are doing. And then people have this experience that my mind is really finely tuned now. No, it's just completely overloaded with stuff. So I share that with you because that illustrates what all power plants do on differing levels. They'll do different things to you, but they're really violent, and they violently crack you open. Now, some people need that sometimes. And if you've got a shaman there who knows the songs, who knows how to placate the plant or to get other spirits, he can control what's happening to you or call certain teachers to you. But that's not what people do today. What people do today is they get their hands on these really powerful chemicals, and they take them and they have all kinds of experiences, and they think that they're shamanic. In fact, I remember running into a guy who called himself a shamanic counselor, and I said, wow, so am I. And he said, really? And I said, yeah. I said, what tradition? And he looked at me like he didn't know what I was talking about. And then I asked him a couple more questions, and I found out that he had no idea what I meant when I said shamanism or shamanic tradition. He had no clue. So I just went ahead and asked him, so what is it that you do? And he says, oh, I guide people through, and I forget what the word was, but basically, he guides them on drug trips. And that, for him, was a shamanic counselor. So for him, shamanism was nothing more than taking power plants. So what do I think about tobacco? I think tobacco is a very potent plant. I think that, it's very addictive. I don't know why you're asking me that question. I mean, do you smoke all the time? I used to hand roll. By the way, I used to smoke a lot. And that towards the end, I hand rolled my cigarettes, and I got loose leaf, the tobacco, and that way I wasn't getting any of the chemicals and all that. But, it's still really addictive, and it's still really damaging. I mean, it's horrific to the lungs. And it's not what was done in, the Native Americans didn't use it that way. If they did it, they would do it very sparingly. Nothing like the way people do it today. So that's my thought on all kinds of different chemicals, including tobacco. And that's the thing. They drain your energy. That's the bottom line, is that you have this feeling of being filled with energy. Like I said, in the case of marijuana, what happens is your aura all the energy gets sucked out of your aura and gets put into your head. So, and your heart beats really fast, right? So it's a stimulant, and you feel really stimulated until you start to come down, and then you pass out. At least some strains will do that. But the reason why you're having all this energy is because it's being basically stolen out of your own energy body. So it's like using a credit card. You're paying a lot of money. You're going to have to pay that back with interest, which is why they're addictive, which is why people need more than they did last time. The next time they need to have 2 bowls instead of 1, or nowadays 2 hits instead of 1 hit. It's the same reason. It absolutely drains you of energy, including tobacco. Absolutely. And now you're asking me about sadness in the lungs. So I'm curious to know why you put those together. Do you smoke and do you have sadness, Daniel? Daniel Lease asked that. Okay, anyway, I've gone off about that. Hi, I was wondering if you can help me with this. So human being, again, if you want to get my attention, please put question. Write question so that I know you're asking me a question as opposed to talking to other members, which is what a lot of people do on the Q&A. I'm wondering if you can help me with this question. Is there a connection between the Bagua Zhang walking meditation and the 9-direction meditation? Yes, it's the same directions. Go and look at any of the videos I have about the thunder wheel, thunder shamanism. It's the same thing. Same 8 gates. Bagua means 8 gates, 8 directions, 9 worlds, same thing. What do I think about Bagua Zhang walking meditation? I think it's excellent. I think it's one of the most powerful types of meditation available. I strongly recommend anybody who's interested in Bagua at all to go check it out. I think it's, may not be for you. It's not, my exact cup of tea when it comes to internal martial arts, but I have a huge amount of respect for it. And I almost went into it, but it's one of those things where, jack of all trades, master of none. I kind of decided that, I didn't really want to try and master another, very different martial art, internal martial art. So I didn't, but I have a strong respect for Bagua. Question, is music a good tool to use along with meditation? Sure, why not? Okay, let's see. Question, Sean 303. Are lucid dreams located only within one's brain, or are they extra-dimensional somehow? The moon mantra you gave me with the Vedic reading fosters fantastic dreaming. Yeah, let's talk about dreams. So there are basically 3 types of dreams in my experience. There is the dream, which is your brain simply sifting through the experiences of the day. Because remember, your brain is like a giant, hard drive. It records everything you say and do. And so when you sleep, one of the reasons we need to sleep is because the brain has to then sift through everything, and it throws out all the files that are meaningless. And so lots of times we're dreaming about walking down the street, or we just finished watching a movie and we dream we're in that same movie. And so that's the brain just trying to get rid of old files. Second kind is an actual spiritual experience where you leave the body, or you will encounter a being, you'll travel to another dimension, you'll get a prophecy and inspiration. And some traditions state that when you're in really deep sleep, when you're not dreaming, it's because your soul has left and is, talking with the other souls or the gods or whatever it is, and we don't remember that. Anyway, so that would be the second one, which is an actual spiritual experience. And then the third one is you having an experience with your unconscious mind, where you are dreaming your fears or your narcissistic fantasies. And sometimes, it's just the body trying to figure stuff out, which would be, other kinds of, sexual dreams. The body's trying to, deal with stuff like that. So anyway, those are the 3 basic types of dreaming. So your question is, are lucid dreams located within one's brain? Well, let's get rid of the idea that the brain is where your mind is. That is Western medicine. That's Western science thinks that the brain is the mind, and it's not. The brain is the computer interface for the mind. The brain is the computer. When the computer doesn't work, obviously you can't interface and communicate. So that's why you can have people who, go into comas and remember stuff, or people who, can't function and they can't talk, but they're completely lucid. But the brain is not the mind, and I can't quote the exact experiments, but, I've had people share with me experiments that they've learned about. One would be, this one is a good one. This was an experiment to try to determine where in the brain, again, assumptions. Western science assumes that the brain is the mind. So to think that the mind may be somewhere else, to them, they won't even think about that because they already have that assumption. And, can you really prove that? Anyway, so this experiment was designed to try and measure where in the brain decisions are made, and how long it takes for a decision to be made and an action to be taken. So in other words, me to make the decision to pick up my teacup. And I think there was actually, pick up the pencil. I think that was the idea. So they put all these electrodes in the brain and they're watching the brain. What ended up happening is they would say, okay, pick up the pencil. The person would pick up the pencil and then something would go off in the brain. And this totally threw them. Like, wait, whoa, what's happening here? What they came to find out is that the decision-making process is not happening in the brain, that the brain is merely recording after the fact when the decision has been made. I experience this when I go surfing. One of the things that's frustrating about surfing is that it is so all-encompassing when I'm surfing a wave that when I'm done and I kick out of that wave and I start paddling out again, I'm totally focused on paddling out through the waves. And then it's frustrating because I know I just had a good time, but I can't remember what I did on that wave. But I know I did some good stuff. I just can't remember. That's why it's nice to have somebody film you, because then you can look at it and remember the wave. But that's kind of my experience of it, is that the brain records it after the fact. And then you think you have a memory of it. So your memory is even tainted. Your memory isn't even accurate. So the brain is not where dreams are located. It's not where the mind is located. The brain is merely just the computer interface. So to answer your question, obviously I'm saying no. And that doesn't even mean it's extra dimensional. You asked, is it within the brain or are they extra dimensional? Might not mean that it's extra dimensional. It just may mean that it's not in the brain. Anyway, don't ask those kinds of questions. I think they're interesting, but what you're really wanting me to do is tell you that your dreams are valid or they're just a product of your brain. You want to know if they're spiritual or if they're, because that's what science will say. That when people die and have near-death experiences, oh, it's just a bunch of things firing off in the brain. It's not really real. The brain is making it up. So as fun as that question is, I would say forget about it. Just experience it. Forget the whole Western assumption that we are our brain, because we're not. We're far more than that. But I'm happy to see that the moon mantra that I gave you with the Vedic reading is helping your dreaming. And that's the mind. The moon is the mind. So anyway. All right. Rosario Constantini question. What is the aura? You mean the aura. A-U-R-A. What is it exactly? I have an idea for how to use it, but I don't know really. What do you mean use it? How are you going to use your aura? I don't know what you mean by that. The aura is just, the earth has an atmosphere. It has a magnetosphere and it has an atmosphere where, the gases come out and then there's a magnetic, magnetosphere that goes out and protects the earth. That's all it is. Your aura is that. It's energy that comes out and your energy comes up and it creates a sort of bubble around you. That's it. Nothing more than that. All right, looking for the questions. Human being question. One time I passed away because of collapse and I saw 3 beings that put me back to life. They were very serious and not very happy. When I came back, all of my movement was in slow motion. Okay, there's not a question there. You didn't ask me anything. You just gave a statement and it's very interesting and it sounds like it was a very powerful experience, but that's not a question. Okay, all right, that's it for now. No more questions. I'll do a little bit of business here. Again, all of my services should be available here for you, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about different types of meditation. So I'll be back in a couple minutes. Okay, and the other link that wasn't in there is if you want any kind of private consultation, whether it's a career consultation, which is where I help you to determine what your soul desire is. In my experience, when you know what your soul desire is, then that is how you're supposed to make money. When you follow that, you can make money. But you sometimes need somebody like me to help you figure out the difference between what you think you want and what you really want. So that's one of the things I think I have a gift at, which is helping people get through the BS in their brain and get to what it is that they really want. So that's career.thunderwizard.com. Anyway, that will be in my little ad thing here at some point soon when I get up off my rear end and find the time to put it together. Okay, so let's continue talking. So I think I badmouthed stillness meditation enough. Now let's talk about deep breathing. Deep breathing. This is why people smoke cigarettes. By the way, I used to smoke. I smoked, gosh, at least a pack and a half a day. That was a long time ago. I stopped in my early 20s, I believe. And I'm 54 now, so more than half of my life I've been tobacco free. But that's why people smoke. And people used to love to watch me smoke because I used to really smoke with passion. And it's because I really wanted to calm myself down. So isn't that interesting? People use this stimulant because tobacco is a stimulant. People use this stimulant in order to relax. But what is it that's relaxing them? That's it. It just gives you an excuse to do deep breathing. Now your intellect and your brain says, oh, I'm getting all this great because you feel the burning smoke going in and maybe you feel the rush of the nicotine or whatever it is. And so you think that's why you're doing it, but it's not. That's why people like to take smoke breaks at work because they get stressed out and they need to go have a smoke and calm down. They need to go take a stimulant so they can calm down. That's why you do it. So this is what deep breathing is all about. When you do it with just the breath, as opposed to doing it to vape or to smoke, same thing. People vape for the same reason. Then what ends up happening is that you can allow the emotions to come to the surface. So we'll talk more about this when we get to the breath signatures, which is how to use different nostrils. So there's a type of meditation which I believe I teach on the chakras.thunderwizard.com site, or on the DVD that you get from that site, which is an ancient Vedic yogic practice, which was to breathe in through the left, exhale out the right. If you just do that, just breathe like that, breathe in deeply through the left, and then exhale out through the right, you will see that the brain will start to release all kinds of stuff. The emotions will balance each other, the yin, the yang, the male and the female, the active and the passive. Deep breathing is, I don't think it's fully appreciated. It's a really, really powerful way, especially when you start using different nostrils for your breathing. But if you do that, if you just simply place your hands on your navel and just breathe deeply in and out, you'll start to see this is what happens. What happens when people are sleeping? They breathe differently. They breathe in really deep. I mean, I've had people tell me that when I sleep that my breathing gets really deep, and it's like you can hear my breathing. In other rooms. Not that I'm snoring, but that I breathe so deeply. And that's that makes sense because my brain just does not shut off very easily. So I really need to get to that place of relaxation. So deep breathing is really powerful. But what I'm trying to focus on here, when I talk about deep breathing, is the ability to process emotions. This is why when you're upset, somebody says, take a few deep breaths. It helps your mind. It helps you see things more objectively. It helps you process your emotions. It helps you have your emotions without having to act on them. And it helps you to have your emotions and then be able to see, while you're having your emotions, be able to see things more objectively. Again, here's the whole point of meditation. The meditation is not about making you feel good, although it does. Meditation is not about bringing about a state of enlightenment, although it may bring a state of enlightenment. Meditation is a practice that will give you the ability to, and this goes back to what somebody asked me earlier, which is, at my level, and I say that, with a kind of a giggle, because I live inside my body, and I'm trust me, I'm just as human as anybody else. Yeah, very human. I forgot where I was going, but the whole point of it is so that when you're living life, that you have the objectivity to be able to act consciously. So the meditation is not when you're doing the breathing and when you're doing the meditation is the rest of the day. The meditation is the exercise. It's like going to the gym and lifting the weight. It's there to get things stimulated and ideally will make you more strong so that when you do need to, have those muscles kick in, they're there for you. Meditation gives you the ability to have the consciousness to act appropriately and consciously, constructively, and maturely throughout the day. So I kind of have to be, I'm trying not to be too hard on myself, and I'm also trying to be honest. So somebody says, at my level, I would say that I have achieved a level of, most of the time, being able to take action in a positive, constructive, and mature way, regardless of how I'm feeling. Because lots of times I do things that my feelings would want me to do something else completely. But I take appropriate action. And I stay connected to my feelings. I have them. I feel them and I have them. And so that's what some stillness meditation tries to get people to do, which is, to sit and watch the thoughts as they go by, That bores the crap out of me. The last thing I want to do is watch my thoughts. Oh my God. Watching my intellect? That sounds like really boring to me. But that's just me. That's just me. I like to, I do meditation, I do Qigong, I do energy work, not because I'm so much trying to be spiritual, but because it feels good. It just feels good. It's, that's why I teach such high level stuff. If you haven't tried it, try the Celestial Qigong. Try it, try the Celestial Qigong. You'll see. It's powerful stuff. So that's deep breathing. We could go into that, and we'll talk more about breath when we get to the breath signatures. So let's see if there's any more questions here. Feel free to ask me a question about anything. I'm just sort of using the topic of meditation to give me something to talk about, but I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Even if you feel like I'm making fun of you or making fun of your question, I never consciously do that. If I do point out things in your question, it's because I'm wanting you to think on a deeper level. It's not because I'm trying to attack you or criticize you or ridicule you. It means that I'm thinking, listen, you can be thinking on a much deeper level. And so my question, if I respond to your question with a question, it means that I'm trying to get you to really go deeper, and get out of your superficial, knee-jerk desires about spirituality and go deeper. So that you can have, the point is so that you can have a deeper, more powerful experience with yourself and with life. That's my goal here. Okay, question one. Oh, I already looked at that. Okay, all right. So I'm not. Okay, here's a question. Question. I cannot sleep since I was 16. Now I'm 48. Any suggestions? I mean, I'm sure I could come up with suggestions, but I don't think it would be very responsible of me to do that. I don't know what's going on with you. Have you ever had therapy? Are you on medication? Is this physical? Is this emotional? I don't know. I would need to know a lot more before I could tell you why. You're 48 now. You haven't been able to sleep since you were 16. I would need more information, and I might not even be able to answer that question in case it's purely medical. Having said that, I do have one trick for how to get to sleep, which I've used. This is what I did a lot in college, especially when I was an actor, because the thing about acting is, oh man, that gets your brain racing all the time. I'd come back from rehearsal and my brain just wouldn't shut off because you're trying to memorize the lines and you're trying to figure out what the emotional intention is for that scene and what this character is, so it's really crazy. And so what I would do is that I would just inhale. I'd lie down and I'd inhale and I'd hold the breath for at least 3 seconds, and then I would release it. So another way to do that is just to inhale and hold it until you can't hold it and you let go of it anymore. That sort of resets the brain. So that another thing I would do is that I would inhale in 8 sniffs and then exhale. So that resets the brain as well. So just like if you're lying in bed, if you do that for long enough, pretty soon you find yourself falling asleep while you're trying to do it. So that would be something that I could suggest for you. But other than that, I mean, it would be irresponsible of me to try and answer how to help you. I just don't know enough about you. Question: have you ever felt like your practices annoy others? And I just keep going anyway? Okay, so you're saying that. You're saying that you feel like your practices annoy others and you keep going. Well, I don't know. I mean, obviously you live with other people, and so you're afraid, that you're making too much noise? Because if they can't hear you, how can you be annoying them? So I'm assuming that you mean because they can hear you. So there are other practices that you can do. If you're doing a mantra, you don't have to do the mantra out loud. There's all kinds of stuff you can do. Obviously if you're playing drums and you're chanting out loud, then yeah. So have I ever felt like that? Well, yeah, I've felt like that when I've done mantra meditation and I'm in close quarters with somebody. That's one of the reasons why I, choose to live alone, so that I don't have to ever worry about bothering other people. I prefer to even live without having any shared walls. That way I can do whatever the hell I want, whenever the hell I want, and I don't have to worry about it. So I wouldn't, I understand what you're saying, but I wouldn't worry about it. Okay, so human being says he's tried everything. So human being, I don't know what you mean by you've tried everything. I have no idea what that means. But based on what you're saying there, it sounds like you've been doing it yourself. So here's the thing about all learning and healing. You can't fix yourself. If you're broken, you can't fix yourself. You need help. People want to be spiritual masters and they want to do it by reading books all by themselves. They don't want to go and actually train with somebody, and learn from somebody. And a lot of people, especially if they have issues, especially if they have issues, then they're really resistant to working with somebody. So I don't know that you've tried everything. You've tried everything that you don't even know what your problem is. You may think your problem is something that it's not. Your problem may be that you've got a lot of unresolved emotions. You may need to sit down with a counselor or the therapist and work out what's really going on with you. Because that's a lot of the reason why people can't sleep. So just telling me that your brain and spirit are always on fire, that doesn't tell me anything. It tells me that maybe you've gone to doctors who've given you medication. I don't know. But I'm willing to bet that you need to have counseling. You need to talk to somebody. All right, human being question, same guy. I've been living in Zurich for 4 years now. How can I contact you for help? You can go to, if you want a private session with me, go to career.thunderwizard.com. career.thunderwizard.com, and buy a private session with me, and then we can talk, and then I can find out if I can help you. You can also email me at info@thundershamanism.com. Please, this is to everybody, only email me if it's about business. I know people want to email me and want to talk about whatever. Save all the questions for the Q&As and for the videos. I'd like to keep my email for business purposes only. But if you have a question about, whether or not we can work together, you can email me. info@thundershamanism.com. All right, so no more questions. Let's keep going. First, do a little more business, and then we'll take a look at some other types of meditation. Where am I looking for? There it is. Okay, we're back now. So let's talk about the next one. What's next on the list? Moving meditation. All right, so this is one of my favorites. One of the things that I've learned about myself, not only through experience, but through looking at my chart, which is that I have to physically move in order to be able to process my emotions. So maybe the other guy is having problems sleeping. Maybe that's something. He can get, needs to do some kind of physical activity here. For me, I have to do some kind of physical, spiritual activity, which would be things like yoga, Tai Chi, Qigong. That's what I mean when I talk about moving meditation. Surfing is also, for me, moving meditation, but one of the things that I've found, because I've tried other things, as I've gotten older, as sad as it is, I don't have quite the stamina that I used to have when I was younger. And so surfing takes a lot of stamina when you live in a big beach break like I do. It's a lot of paddling. So I was looking for alternative ways that I could surf and not be so wiped out all the time. And so I looked into stand-up paddleboarding. And I tried that, and I didn't like it. And I realized, because for me, part of what I enjoy about the whole idea of surfing is lying on the board. And when you're lying on the board, you have to arch your back and look up, because if you just lie straight down, you're looking straight at the board. So you have to arch your head up to be able to see while you're paddling. So you end up in one of those yoga positions, like I forget what they're called. Like the cobra position, and you're basically in one of those kinds of positions for long periods of time. And it really works on the heart center. And so that's what's interesting for me, is that when I'm in that, it's a yogic position. It's like, and I always used to love doing cobra position a lot. And I would do that for a long period of time because I needed to open up my heart center. So that's, for me, why it's a moving meditation, as well as just the act of being on the wave and listening to the wave and, kind of doing what it needs to do and figuring out where it wants you to be and all that fun stuff. That's part of the meditation as well. But yoga, for me, is one, especially Kundalini yoga, because there's a lot of powerful movement involved. I like that. And clearly internal martial arts and Qigong. Tai Chi, by the way, it is known as a moving meditation. And most of the time, 99.9% of the time is. But in its reality, it was actually Tai Chi, the grand ultimate fist. It was actually an incredibly deadly martial art. And there still are a few people who know how to teach that, but you got to really look to really find those guys. Those guys are hard to find. So moving meditation is important for me because I have, moon in my first house means that in order for me to process my emotions and to think clearly, I have to express it with my body. So that's why something, more than just doing jumping jacks, there has to be some kind of expression involved. Surfing is a way for me to express myself. Martial arts, internal martial arts is a way for me to express myself. Yoga, it releases a lot of emotional things. So that's something that I need. But there's more to it than that. Moving meditation is important because, your body is an antenna. Your spinal column, your nervous system, your three dantians, your energy centers, your vortexes, all of this, the energy as well as the physicality. This is one of the things, I'm not one of those teachers that, in fact, you've never heard me say that this world is just an illusion. And, I may talk about the illusory nature of this matrix we call, and even if I refer to the universe as a matrix, I'm not saying it doesn't exist. It's very real. There's nothing less real about being in the physical form than there is about being in the spiritual form. In fact, just because you're a spirit floating around doesn't mean that you're any more conscious or any more real than something that's in the physical body. This is what demons are. Demons are spiritual entities, whether they were humans, whether they were non-humans, whether they were thought forms, whether they're earth spirits, whatever they are conscious entities that are in denial of their essence, which is why we call them dark beings and they hide in the shadows. And that's why they act just like people. When people, evil people are the same thing, are people who are in denial of their true self. They are walking outside of their own true essence. And it's because they're afraid, by the way, all beings that act destructively, whether it's that you're doing it in the moment or those beings are constantly, in that state, those are beings that are afraid of evolving. And so the way that reality is set up is that it is constantly stimulating you to evolve spiritually. Evolution means to die. So there's this continual moment-by-moment stimulus by the universe to destroy what you think you are in that moment so that you can expand and be something greater than that. This is what causes pain. This is what causes fear. This is what causes all of the ills. You name it. Kidnapping, drug addiction, wars, corruption, on the big political scale, on the small scale when you hurt your friends or your loved ones. It's all a childish temper tantrum designed to rebel against the universe seeking to push you into evolution. Now, when it becomes a problem is when somebody gets in the habit of continuously trying to have these continuous temper tantrums to try and push the universe away. Then you end up creating all kinds of patterns in your unconscious, and then you end up living that way. But it's still a moment-by-moment choice. It's just a lot easier to do something that you understand. But what we experience is that in those states, people experience that they're trapped in something and they can't do anything differently. They're trapped in addiction. But the truth of the matter is you can change each moment. Each moment you can choose to change. If it is a really deeply held pattern, then it's going to take continuous, vigorous, moment-by-moment micro decisions to keep taking action in an appropriate way, regardless of how you feel. I don't know how I got off on that, but I think we were talking about moving meditation. Anyway, I kind of went off on something. Yeah. Anyway, I can't find my way back, but there's moving meditation. Moving meditation for me, I have a deep, beautiful space in my heart for moving meditation. That is my own personal agenda because that's what really works for me because I have moon in the first house. And so this is another good thing about Vedic astrology is you can find these things out. Let's say, for instance, somebody has, this is my fiance had this, she had moon, she was Leo too, we were both Leos. Leos with moon in the first house, but she also had Mars conjunct with her moon. So that meant she had, and she was one of these people, she had to exercise all the time. So she would go and climb up and down stairs, or, you know, she just had to move. Otherwise, she just wasn't, she didn't feel good. And she couldn't sit still for very long periods of time unless she was asleep. So she'd go and she'd go and she'd go, and then she'd just conk out and she'd just be asleep. And I was so jealous of her because when she decided she was going to sleep, she would just be out. But that's, you know, these little things can explain to you why you are the way that you are. So she had Mars with moon, which means that Mars was constantly agitating her moon. They were in her first house, which means her physical body. So it meant that her physical body always had to be moving, and it meant that she had to move in order to express her emotions, just like me. So anyway, so there's moving meditation. Let's see if there's any more questions. Again, I'll take any questions about anything, but let's see what kind of questions you have. All right, so... no, okay. All right. Emerson's Coffee, Bike, and Rum Shop. Thank you for your $5 contribution on the super chat. She asks, Sifu, what are the best ways to incorporate Lam Vam Ram Yam Hum with other practices like Qigong and chanting? Well, as you know, I've created at least a couple of mantras using that. So Lam Vam Ram Yam Hum. First thing I need to help you with, I'm sure you know it. I'm sure I've taught it to you, but the M sound. So seed sounds are bija mantras. Bija seed sounds are tiny, energetic, one-syllable sounds that you find all through Vedic mantra. Lam, Vam, Ram, Yam, Hum are 5 of them, and they represent they're the seed sounds for the 5 elements and the first 5 chakras, going from earth up to air, I believe. Earth, water, fire, air, and ether, going up to ether, sorry. And that M at the end of those sounds like the Om. The Om is the most popular seed sound. It's why it's used in everything. It encompasses the 3 essences of the universe, the 3 ones. Aum. That M sound is actually an NG sound. So using that, the actual pronunciation is Lang Vang Rang Yang Hang. Now you can do it with your lips closed, like an M. Lam Vam Ram Yam Hum. And we do the NG sound, the sound, when we do it because it stimulates the pineal and the pituitary. And it releases endorphins and DMT and all kinds of other stuff. So again, you don't need to do power plants to release DMT. If you do the right seed sounds, you can release all of it. And then you won't have to worry about going through any withdrawals or, having your, becoming imbalanced as a result of it. You'll be balanced and empowered. So the way you can use it with other practices, well, like chanting, obviously, you can do that. If you know what you're doing, you can add that to pretty much any mantra. Like Namah Shivaya. You can go Om Lam Vam Ram Yam Hum Namah Shivaya, for example. I don't recommend doing that without having some understanding of mantra, but those are ways that you can incorporate it, and you can just incorporate it while you're doing your qigong. You can think it or you can say it while you're doing your tai chi. You can do it while you're walking. I've done that a lot. That's why I teach that lam vam ram yam hum, because I like the idea of balancing all of the 5 elements. I love that, so that's why I teach it. Anyway, I hope I answered your question there. I hope that was $5 worth of an answer for you. Okay, so Johnny Delgadillo. Okay, I don't see a question there. All right, so let's see here. Question. I'd there a P.O. box to send a... Oh, yeah, I think you emailed me. Yes. Yeah, I will respond to your email. You wanted to send me a medallion. I took a look at that. It looked really great. And yeah, I will respond. I'm working on responding to everybody's emails, so I haven't forgotten about you. So stay tuned. I will respond to your email. Thank you for that, by the way. Question. Visceral Energies question. What time of day is best to practice Celestial Qigong? Best time to practice Celestial Qigong is at night. If you're able to do it before dawn, somebody said dawn, that would be great. But you know, it's a nighttime practice. It comes from the spirit fighting, which is, you know, the times when the spirits are more active is, you know, like at night, like around midnight. That's the best time to do it. But the only time that you don't want to do it is, say, between like 11 a.m. to 3 or 4 p.m. Now, it depends on where you live. If it's like in the middle of winter, then go ahead. But if it's like here in like summertime in Southern California, you don't, because there's a lot of fire in there. You don't want that much fire. So, you know, do it either early in the morning or do it, you know, like when I would teach spirit fighting, I would only teach from 4 p.m. onward, because to do it before then would be, you'd be creating too much heat for yourself. So I hope I answered your question there. Right. Oh, there's some questions. Okay. Natalia Lokia. Hello, Natalia. She asks, question. Hail, teacher. Lovely to see you. Likewise. Yesterday I cleansed an entity from a home and wanted to know about Schuld related to this. What causes a person to feel it necessary to cleanse beings? Well, it's a lot of things in that question. Your Schuld, your karma, you know, when I first heard that question, I thought you meant in the future, but now I'm thinking maybe you mean what brought that on. I don't know, as you know, generally speaking, what I say, if somebody has a gift, it's because they are balancing out negative karmas from previous lifetimes. Now, even as I say that, I don't say that that's 100% truth, you know, all the time. Part of the reason why I say that is because I do believe it to be true most of the time, and I think that that's a safe assumption to make so that you don't get into your ego. Because if somebody becomes like this world-class healer, I think healing is definitely a karmic-related issue, but if somebody becomes this healer where they're healing a lot of people, they've got to have an assumption that keeps them rooted in some humility. So if you're doing it realizing that every time you heal somebody, all you're doing is you're paying back a debt that you have to that person. And so even though you're the one that gets the, ooh, he healed me, in reality, you're just paying back what you owe them. So, you know, when it comes to working with spirits, you know, like spirit fighting, I had one person ask me, you know, well, what Buddhists do is I forget what he said, something like they pray for the spirit or try to convert the spirit. And I said, no, man, the demon that's, you know, attacking somebody or is haunting someplace is an invader, and you have no mercy for them. You slice them to pieces, physically with your hands. You slice the spirit to pieces. Now, what's happening is that your hands are energized with a certain type of energy that will force them to, at the very least, look at themselves. But that's why they run away. That's why they would run away from me, because maybe they might be afraid of the experience of having me, you know, chop them up or whatever. But what they're really afraid of is, like I said earlier, that anything that's evil or dark is running away from its own evolution. And so whether the spirits realize it or not, when I'm in that capacity, what frightens them about me is that, oh crap, here it comes, I'm going to have to take a look at myself. So there's only good karma connected to that. You're freeing everybody. Whenever you cleanse something, drive out a negative entity, you are freeing everybody, and you're freeing them. And there might be a karmic connection between the people. So the people that own the house that you're cleansing, that's where the karma might be. So there might be a karma connected to that. You know, maybe in a past life you slept in their barn without permission or something. You know, so now you're going to even that out by driving out some unwanted, uninvited spirit. So anyway, I hope I answered your question. She continues. Question: I ask because I know you are an exorcist. I have felt a weird, W-Y-R-D, weird pull and karmic connection to do this throughout my life. What can cause this? You know, that's a good question. I haven't thought about my own abilities like that. You know, why I've been drawn to that. I haven't asked that question. So that's a good question. I don't know. I don't know what your weird is. You know, I think it's possible. I think what I was saying earlier is that I think it's possible that something like this can be just simply, you know, the soul's desire to evolve and the soul's desire to give back. But who knows, you know, why I've had that. I mean, why I've had that experience and why you feel a draw to that. I honestly don't have the answer to that question. It's a great thing to meditate on, though. Okay, human being, question. I really need your help. Okay, so I think I tried to answer you anyway. If you want a private session with me, because if you really need my help, then you need a private session. A lot of people want to email me with their questions. Can you please tell me how to do this? And then can you please? And I'm like, sure, go ahead. And I never hear from them. I'll say, here's the link. Go get a private session with me, because I need to talk to you. I need to spend at least an hour asking questions, listening to you, finding out what the real problem is. If you really want my help. So it's going to take some time and some effort. So go to career.thunderwizard.com and purchase a session. Okay? So I think I answered that. But, you know, if you're really telling me that you really need my help, then that's the best way that I can help you. I'm not necessarily talking to you, human being, because I don't know. But a lot of people want me to, Joe, just give me 5 minutes, or can I just talk to you for 10 minutes, or can you just answer me in an email? No, I can't do that first and foremost, because if you want my help, then that means I have to actually give you time and effort. You're doing yourself a disservice by wanting me to just throw something at you in 5 minutes. You're doing yourself a disservice if you're trying to manipulate yourself into having like an hour-long conversation for free with me, because then you're not asking a professional to help you. You're doing me a disservice by asking me to take my hard-earned, precious spare time and give it to you for nothing. If I'm giving you something for free, I'm not enjoying myself, which means I'm not really focused on trying to help you. That's why you pay people money. So anyway, if you really want my help, that's the best way to do it. For me to do anything less, I am not serving you. So go to career.thunderwizard.com if you want a private consultation. I'm happy to help anybody with anything, and if I can't help you, I'll tell you. All right. Let's see, moving past to questions. All right. Again, if you want me to respond to a question, I would like for people to put question so that I know you're asking me a question. Okay. All right. No more questions that I can see. Moving on, let me see here. I'm going to go to the next type of meditation, which is visualization. Okay. Visualization. Visualization is, you know, there are some people, by the way, I've said there are some people that can't do emptiness meditation, and there are some people that can't do visualization meditation. So if you're one of those people that can't do that, don't worry about it. That's just, you're not made for it. Whatever there is a meditation for you, no matter what, how you're wired. I'm wired for moving meditation. I'm wired for mantra meditation. I excel at those things that make me happy. I am not wired to emptiness meditation unless I've done a bunch of moving meditation and a bunch of mantra, and then all the energy buzzing around in me, then I can go to an emptiness place. If you're not wired for visualization, that's okay. You don't have to try. Some people try. I try so hard to do the emptiness meditation, or they try so hard to visualize. Well, if you can't do it, you can't do it. Don't force it. That's what my life is all about now. I am not about forcing anything. And the less that I force, the more that comes to me, Anyway, I could go off about that for a while. But what was I saying? Visualization. So, I do want to make a distinction between guided meditation, where you turn on something and you listen to somebody guide you through a meditation and you visualize. Imagine that you're next to a brook, and in that brook is a fish. And in that fish's nostril is a ring. And in that ring is a ruby. That kind of stuff. Nothing wrong with it. I mean, it might even be relaxing. There might even be something really great about it. Especially if the person knows what they're doing. They really might be able to put you into a hypnotic state. It might be really powerful, but it's not meditation. Listening to somebody talk you through a guided visualization is not meditation, because it's passive. You're being hypnotized. They are hypnotizing you. And again, nothing wrong with it. People do it all the time. I would do it. I think it's a great thing to do. But it's not meditation. Visualization, meditation, and I'm not just talking about the kind of meditation where you visualize, whatever. You can. I'm visualizing myself in a $50 million home, that kind of stuff. You can do that. The kind of visualization I'm talking about is directly related to energy work. So we talked about a while back the 3 ones meditation, which there's notes right in front of me. I've got these notes. I'm putting it together. And there will be some visualization there where you visualize certain energies, and you visualize, certain balls of light coming in front of the 3 areas, and you're breathing them into the body, and you imagine them doing certain things. And that's sort of like, I don't know if I'm using this word right, it's sort of like sympathetic magic to yourself. Well, what you're doing when you do that every day for years and years and years, you basically start to create that, and then it becomes a reality. And that whole visualization is about becoming a perfected immortal, which before there was this whole enlightenment craze, which happened, especially now, there was, in Taoist times, they talked about becoming a perfected immortal, which is a little different. There wasn't the dualist idea of there's reality as spirit and matter is, evil, wrong, illusion. It was this idea that you could perfect the matter that you lived in. You could perfect the vibration of it, and then you would become, your body would become, you. This way, one of the reasons that they would want to become immortal is so that they didn't have to be reborn and forget all their lessons. They wanted to stay conscious of all their lessons so that they could continue to work on themselves. Anyway, so visualization is, in my experience, the kind that really works is when you learn an actual real meditation that is designed to do something, what the Chinese call Neigong, internal work. And a lot of Neigong has to do with visualizing with breath where the energy is moving and opening things up, and visualizing sometimes certain deities and all that kind of stuff. So that's visualization meditation, and that is kind of hard to do. It takes a lot of concentration. And but if you find a good teacher, and if you find a good method that is actually not just about namby-pamby throwing something together, but actually knows what it's doing, then it can be an incredibly powerful tool. It'll completely reset and reshift everything and accomplish a lot of things. So having said that, there's really no end to what visualization can do. I'm only sharing with you what I know, which has worked. So anyway, all right, so there's visualization. All right, so once again, let's take some time out to look at all the ways in which you can connect with me. And let's just watch our little movie again, because I think I have a new link on there that I will soon put on the other ads video. Anyway, see you in a couple minutes. Alrighty, now, I always take my glasses off at the wrong time, it seems. Alright, let me take a look and see what kind of questions we might have, if there are any. Let's see here. Okay, questions. Natalia Lokia, question. Thanks for helping with the previous one. How is working on the alignment of the 3-1s technique going? High, justice, high, and third. I think I answered that. Yeah, I'm still putting that together, and I'm letting that ruminate a little bit, but, you know, I want it to be, well, first off, part of what's happening is I'm just living my life. My practice is getting pretty busy, and I'm coming close to the end of having the first part of the Vedic astrology certification course ready. Yeah, and trying to I'm booked up through this month, next couple of months, just with people in astrology readings and stuff like that. So I'm just trying to live my life and make sure that I have time to do some surfing and take care of myself. And I am letting the 3-1s meditation just kind of ruminate for the time being. What I'm really focusing on is I really want to make sure that I get the chant at the end. There's a little whatever spell at the end of the 3-1s, and I want to get that right, because that's the thing that really crystallizes it and brings it all together. So it's coming along, and I'm looking forward to it, and I'm still meditating on it. So anyway, Mad Spirit question. Anything you know about Siddha understanding? So Mad Spirit, I don't know how long you've been on my channel, but I'll say this about what you mean by Siddha is spiritual powers. So spiritual powers do exist. I have experienced them. But what I can tell you is that and I'm using this is a generalization, but I find it to be true most of the time. Any spiritual power that you have, or any spiritual power that you gain as a result of doing spiritual discipline or work or meditation or mantra, anything that comes up is your karmic debt to the universe. So healing is a good example. Let's say somebody gets an ability to heal. That is because they have a debt to repay, to repair, to balance on the physical level things that they've done from past lives. And this is something they've chosen to do. And so this is the great thing about it. And this is why, because it's fun. That's what's great about it. It's fun. The universe is a fun place. By the way, the universe is meant to be fun. If you're not having fun, then either you've got some pretty serious challenges, or you have got your head up your rear end and you are not. I wish I could share. I'm going to copy it, but it seemed like kind of an intrusive thing. Yahoo News here, Yahoo. I'm sure some of you already know what I'm talking about. There was a woman who died just recently from something. And they took her last thoughts that she had posted on Facebook and put it on a YouTube article. And then I thought this was kind of crappy. YouTube then put a link directly to this person's Facebook page. And so it's great. It takes you to her Facebook page, which I thought was kind of intrusive, but, she passed away. But still, you've got all these people who don't know her putting this, oh, thank you for putting that. She must have been a great person. And so you've got all these family members that are mourning who want to look at her Facebook page and mourn. And I thought that was, I could be wrong. They might love it. I don't know. But I thought that was really presumptuous of Yahoo to do that. Anyway, let's say somebody becomes a healer and they want to heal somebody. If you get this power to heal, it's because you got to balance out damage you've done to people in the past. If what could be other ones? People, the ones that people want. Somebody becomes a psychic, right? And people want to do that all the time. Why you want to get into other people's heads, I don't know. Because then you're responsible for how to respond to them. If you know everything, that's not easy to do. You know everybody's inside secrets, and you know the things they don't even know about themselves. Then you have to be responsible to know what to tell them. Let's say you see somebody's death. Do you want that? Do you want to carry that around and then, know that, should I tell them? Should I not tell them? I mean, why would you want that? We want powers. We want siddhas because we're insecure. Let's just be real about it. We're insecure. It's not enough. We want more. It's like a drug. But if I had superpowers, so just know that any power that you get is just there for you to balance out any imbalance you've already created. So why seek it out? It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't make you any more spiritual, and it certainly doesn't make you any more powerful, because now you've got this task you got to fulfill. So this is coming from somebody who sought after spiritual powers and supposedly gained them and all that. And it doesn't bring happiness. Happiness is its own gift, and this is what this woman had to say. Basically, she wrote about, she was about to die, and she wrote about basically everything that I teach, which is that none of all this stuff is important. Money isn't important. Status isn't important. How you dress, how perfect your abs are. None of that stuff is important. The only thing that matters is, are you appreciating what you have? She'd talk about, one thing she said I thought was great was, stop trying to, I forget how she put it. It was brilliant. Put the phone down and experience what's in front of you instead of trying to save it for a Facebook post, so that you can show other people, look where I am. Like people do the weirdest things. Like people, I don't understand this. They're about to sit down to dinner and they take a picture of their dinner. I'm about to eat this. Good for you. Are you going to show us when you excrete that out later? You're going to take a picture of that too? Look, that was that really great meal. I mean, who cares? But I mean, her point was that, we're not in the moment. Live in the moment. This is what I try and hold on to when I go surfing. Like I said, when I'm surfing a wave, I'll surf it all the way to the beach, and as soon as I'm done and I'm paddling back out, I'm trying to remember what just happened. Because I'm so in the moment, I don't remember any of it. But I want to remember it, especially as I get older, because I'm realizing, I don't know how many years or decades I have left of surfing, and I want to be able to appreciate every wave I have. And so it's like every time I have one, I spend a few moments afterwards and I go, what just happened on that wave? I want to remember that. That's what's important. Being able to experience this incredible planet that we live on. It is such a fun place. Have fun. Have fun. It's the most important thing you can do. When you're dead, when you die, remember I told you this. When you die, the moment you leave your body and you have that time where you go back and do the review, remember I told you this. What you are going to think about is whether or not you fulfilled all your desires. That's it. You will know the rest of it was totally meaningless. But if you fulfill your desires, you get to take that with you. You know, they say you can't take it with you. You can't take your money with you. You can't take your spouses with you. You can't take your kids with you. You can't take, you know, none of that gets to go with you. But you can take the fulfillment that you had with you. You can also take things like resentments and other things. You can take those things with you too. But we don't want that, right? So get rid of all that stuff. Have fun. That way, see, it's not about spirituality. I'm not here telling you to be on the mountain and to be spiritual and to be enlightened. I could care less about that. The only thing that matters is having fun. That's it. Nothing else. There's no higher thing. You know, I talk about being a perfected immortal. I have so much respect for that that practice. And anyway, I'm getting some other messages. I need to shut up about that. Anyway, so point being is that just have fun. That's the only thing that matters. Okay, so let's see. Let's see if there's any more questions here. Cosmo Joe, question: have you revealed the technique you created for everyone yet? No. The three ones method? Nope. You'll know when I've revealed it. I'm not sure how I'm going to reveal it, but you'll know. No, I haven't revealed that yet. Okay, looking for the questions. Michael Johnson, question: is there a difference between mantra and Galder? I would say that I might not be qualified to answer that because I'm not sure that I, have mastered Galder. I certainly can't go back into time. I don't know what, in terms of Galder meaning the actual chanting. Galder, we have Galder and Seed, and I think Natalia can give me the third one. There's a third one that I'm not sure with that she talks about. By the way, if anybody wants to go to her channel, Natalia Lokia, Nataljaalokja. Go to her channel. She's very powerful and very wise, very knowledgeable staff carrier. Go to her channel. But there's Galder and there's Seed. Seed is what I would talk about being shamanism, which, generally speaking, we're talking about the ability to channel the gods, to prophesy, to shamanic journeys. And then there's Galder, which is wizardry. Wizardry means being able to understand the formulas and the rituals and the chants and the mantras and the potions. Wizardry is being able to interpret what the prophecy is that comes through the seed shaman. So when you say Galder, it's not just chanting. Galder, the word Galder comes from the word to chant. In English, we have yell, holler, yaller. All of those words come from Galder, same thing, because the G sound in in Old English is a Y sound, yaller, yaller, Galder, yaller. To yell, it means to yell, it means to chant, it means to bring that out. So I'm assuming that's what you mean by that. So is there a difference between that and mantra? I don't know all of what they did, so I can't answer that. I'm sure there was a difference. Mantra is a very specific science, and I would put mantra as a subset of Galder. So yes and no to your question. Original source energy question. Visualization so far is my weak point. Does visualization mean a clear picture in the mind, or is it like you feel to so hard you can see it? I can see things, but the picture is dark. Well, as I said, original source energy, everybody's wired differently. So who cares? Don't focus on, unless you want to. If you're trying to do visualization because you think you're supposed to, or because, you're criticizing yourself for not being good enough in some way, then ask yourself, do you like doing it? And if you don't like doing it, then stop doing it. Who cares? There are so many other ways to meditate. Visualization is only one. And I don't recommend it for everybody. And in fact, I only recommend the kind of visualization that's actually attached to something that will actually accomplish something for you. So you have my permission to drop it all together and forget about it. Some people are really good at it. So you're asking me what it is and that you're not good at it. And, you know, even if I tell you what it is, how does that help you? If I say to you, yes, visualization means having a very crystal clear picture in your mind, all that you're going to do with that is you're going to look at yourself and judge yourself because as you're telling me, that's not how you experience it. So what does it matter? If you want to do it, do it. If you don't, drop it. That is my suggestion for you. All right, so there's that. All right, so let's move on. Let's see, I did visualization, I think was the last one. Mantra. Let's talk about mantra. Mantra. Mantra means the vehicle of the mind, means to transport the mind, means to protect the mind. So what does that tell you? The focus of mantra is not to have a magical spell. There was a guy on YouTube, he's no longer there, but this guy was so full of crap. He would just make things up. He wanted so bad to be a YouTube guru, and he would talk about things which he knew were popular, and he'd make stuff up. He had no idea what he was talking about. And he said that mantra means magical spell. And then, of course, I took him to task on that. And by the way, let me just mention that because it's, you know, I'm doing this now, and I'm sitting here. Just take it. For me, I'm just taking a second. This is what I'm doing. I'm sitting here just simply talking, letting stuff fall out of my mouth, just saying whatever the hell I want to say as I feel like saying it. And you guys are on here and you're asking me questions. I never would have thought that anybody would want to do this. Who's going to want to listen to me just spout? And so what I used to do is I would just walk around and just talk to myself out loud because I had to get this stuff out. And I also used to go on to other people's channels. And I always used, you know, and I'd be one of those trolls that would leave all the nasty comments about what this guy doesn't know and that guy doesn't know. Until I did what I've done many times throughout my life when I see myself do this. I did this same technique once. I went to go see stand-up comedians live, and they're, you know, this is a long time ago. Robin Williams, that's how long ago it was. Robin Williams showed up, and, you know, and I left there bad-mouthing all of them, and I stopped and I said, you know what, if you can do better, go do it. Shut up and go do it. So I did, and I went and I did stand-up comedy for a long time, and, you know, some people said I had a real career at it, and I ended up not wanting to do it. But same thing, you know, if you're, I've toyed with making a video and putting it up, you know, just a private link, so that when somebody badmouths me, I just give them a link. And on the link, I say, listen, why are you spending your time trolling me and trying to criticize me? You obviously feel very passionately you should have your own channel. Don't waste your energy badmouthing me and criticizing me. Put that energy into telling people what you know to be true. You obviously have a message. Go tell it. So anyway, I kind of wanted to throw that one out there. I know I was trying to say something else, but that's important. If you find yourself really attacking people, criticizing people, then go talk about it. Go, you know, you'll feel a lot better. I did it, and then now it's my living. So maybe if you're struggling for how to make a living and you're just somebody who goes online and trolls people, maybe there's a living for you in just telling people what you think and what you believe. They might want to hear it. Anyway, mantra. I know we're talking about mantra, and I don't know how I got off on that. Mantra. Mantra is not designed to be a magical spell. Mantra is not designed to give you your wish. People look at it like that, like it's, if you chant mantra, if you do this mantra so many times, then you can have everything that you want. And if you do this one to Lakshmi, you can find love. And if you do this one to Shiva, you can find riches and blah, blah, blah. It's not what mantra is meant to do. It may be true that you get those things from it, but that's not what it's designed to do. Mantra is designed to go into your unconscious mind. And it is designed to, when it's done properly, when you have the right kind of mantra for you, it goes into your unconscious mind and seeps in there like a virus, an antivirus software program. Goes into your hard drive and it starts getting rid of all the Trojan horses and the viruses and the whatever it is. Cleans up your hard drive so that you can intend your reality. One of the things that will happen as you're doing that is that you will become conscious. This is why there's so much, when I give people a mantra and I give people a good mantra, lots of times I will say, so there's a possibility that you may go through some unconscious resistance because your unconscious mind does not want to change. This goes back to the idea of, what are evil people? What are dark souls? What are demons? These are beings that have, for whatever reason, chosen to step out of alignment with their true self, trying to avoid their own evolution. They're afraid of dying because evolution is a death by definition. Every time you evolve, you die to what you thought you were and recreate yourself into something new. But if you don't want to recreate yourself, you try and stay stuck. And so that's an illusion. You can never stay stuck. And so in order to do that, you run away from the light within you, and that's what creates the darkness within you. So when you learn how to do that, and we all do it to varying degrees, we all do it or we wouldn't be here. When we do that to varying degrees, then we get trapped in an illusion of our own creation. Whatever, it's usually some victim mentality thing. I was talking about this earlier. Somebody said at your level, and I said, what's my level? There's so much negative crap going through my brain almost all the time. I forget. I have this really wonderful living that I spend time on the phone with people or Skyping people or whatever, and I know from their reaction and from my experience that something really magical and wonderful is happening, and that I know I'm really lucky I get to be a part of the universe reaching out and being instrumental in completely changing people's lives for the better. I'm only telling that because I just watch. That's what I see happening. And you'd think that I'd walk away from that thinking to myself, I am this great spiritual and I don't. It's just like surfing. Once that phone hangs up, all this stuff comes back, and the next thing I know, I'm worried about what that guy thinks about me and what that person thinks about me, and they must think I'm really stupid. And then I go through, I don't know if you've ever done this, where you argue with people that you haven't seen in 10 years. And you go through, you rehearse what you should have said to them. If I had said this, and then I do that. I'm just as nuts as you guys. I do that same stuff. So it doesn't matter. That's the point. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be perfect. The universe can do all these wonderful things, and you can still be totally flawed and screwed up. And in all of that, you can still be happy. You got to know what it is you want to do. I'm pretty clear on what I need to do to make myself happy, and I do it. And that's my focus. My main focus in my life is my happiness. This is one of the things that this woman said that died, and she left that. Her last thoughts, and one of them was that it's just I forgot what I just said. Oh, that she said it so brilliantly. She said something along the lines of fiercely protect your comfort or your happiness or something like that. Ruthlessly, that's why I love it, because I love that word. Ruthlessly protect your happiness. And I do. That's why, I don't take clients outside of certain hours. You can ask me until you're blue in the face. If you don't like it, I'll give you your money back. I am not taking clients after or before certain hours or on certain days. Because the only reason I'm doing this job, besides that it's my dharma and my orlog, and I do enjoy it, is so that I can enjoy my life. I want to live this. When I leave this life, I want to go, yep, I got it all. I was going through it earlier. There's some things that I really wanted in life, and I realized I don't really care about that anymore. I used to really want to live out in the wilderness. I used to cry thinking about one of these days, if I didn't have to do this or do that, and then one day I just decided that's what I was going to do. And after my divorce, I did that. And that's one of the reasons I lived up there. The woman I was married to, I lived up there because she was right next to these mountains that I could get to whenever I wanted. And, you know, there was hundreds of miles of logging roads that took me up into the mountains. And, you know, that's why I lived there. And then after we got divorced, I lived up in northern Idaho in a cabin. I wish I had a picture of it. A cabin that was the last cabin on that dirt road. You know, that was 10 miles up a dirt road. That was 20 miles out of town. You know, tiny little town. It was the last cabin that had electricity, and the only way I could get internet was through what do you call it? Through satellite. And I lived like that, and I got that out of my system. I still love the mountains, but I don't need to go live out in the middle. I don't need to do that anymore. I like the conveniences of, you know, being in a city. I don't like the people, but I like the conveniences. Let's see, there were some other things that I could, I used to say, I used to pine for, God, if I could only find somebody who really loved me, really saw me, you know, I really wanted that, and I'd weep about that. I've had that. It doesn't mean I don't want it again. I'd love to have it again, but I don't have that part in me that, you know, I've fulfilled that desire. I have at least one more left, which is I want to surf my brains out. I want to learn and do. I'm buying different kinds of boards. You know, I never long boarded before. I always did short board because you know, whatever. Now I'm buying long boards, and I'm learning how to long board and nose ride and do all kinds of fun stuff. I'm just thinking about it. I'm getting giggly happy. That's what's the most important. That's all I care about. And so you should do that as well. It's the only thing that matters, really. Only thing in this world that matters. All right, so mantra. Anyway, if you really want to know how to experience mantra, I strongly suggest getting a reading from me. So, and or as time goes on, soon here you will be able to get a less expensive reading from one of my what's the word I want to look for? Certified Thunder Shaman Vedic astrology readers. So I'm almost ready to put that out there. If you're interested in learning that, if you want to get certified, and I'm not promising you work for me, but if you want to go through that certification process and learn my Vedic astrology, go to, actually, I don't know if I have a website for it yet. You can email me at info@thundershamanism.com and put astrology course or astrology apprentice or something in the title, and I will let you know when it happens. But if you really want to understand what mantra is, I recommend getting a reading from me, because that's really what I focus on. The whole focus of the reading is to show you what your true projection is to the world, what's really going to give you true success in the world, to show you a ritual that will empower that and help you to become that. And I know this works because you're seeing it. Everything you see in front of you, everything I'm doing and the success I'm having is a direct result of me learning how to implement what my chart is telling me, and the specific mantra that I do, which is designed just for me, which goes into my brain and unlocks from my brain all of the blocks and the self-sabotage and the fear-based insecurities around my success. Success is an illusion. You know, somebody said at my level. Now, that's their experience of me. Either that or they're being respectful of me, which is fine, and I appreciate that. But whatever you think of me, whatever you experience of me, if you experience me that way, it is an illusion. It doesn't mean that I haven't accomplished things. It doesn't mean that I haven't worked hard. And it doesn't mean that I don't get results when I help people. But for you to see me as something is just a reflection. You're just seeing the light bounce off of me, and then you're perceiving that as being something. It's supposed to be that way. That's the way we're designed, but all of these things you can find out from your chart. So that's why I suggest getting a reading from me and or one of my apprentices when the time is right. So that's mantra meditation. So let's go see if there's any questions, and then I have one last meditation style to talk about before we go on. So let's see here. Lindsay Rogers. Hi, Lindsay. Do I see a question? I don't see a question. Nope, I don't see a question there. Okay, so let's talk about the last one, which is breath signatures. Breath signatures. So this is, I've already given you a couple of breath signature ones, which is somebody was asking about falling asleep. And one of the things that I used to do when I couldn't sleep is that, two things is that I would either just breathe in really deeply and hold my breath for I don't know how many seconds and then release it. And just by doing that, like just hold your breath until you can't, not like you get red in the face, but you just hold it until it's just uncomfortable and then you release it. And that sort of kicks in all kinds of strange things. And doing breath meditation signature where you take 4 sniffs or 8 sniffs or 6 sniffs, it doesn't really matter how many, but and then hold that and then release that. You do that, that'll put you to sleep pretty quickly. Also, breathing in through the left nostril and out the right. Inhale through the left. Exhale out the right. You do that for a while, that'll put you to sleep as well. That'll relax you for sure. So breath signatures are, I found to be a really helpful tool. And again, it's because of, if you go back to what I was saying in the beginning, I don't do stillness meditation very well unless I've already done a bunch of other things. Like I could do a breath signature meditation. So here's one. I'll teach you a breath signature meditation that will have a very mild visualization to it that will teach you more of the thunder path. You can sit, it doesn't matter which direction you face, you can face any direction you want. But wherever you're sitting, and ideally you want to sit either, yogic style in a half lotus or a full lotus, or if you need to sit on a chair, do it the way that I teach to do it on the Huul breath meditation, H-U-U-L breath. You have to sit with your, don't sit like I am now in a chair. You have to sit with your spine and your neck straight, looking down a little bit. Let's say you do that, you can close your eyes all the way or 9/10 of the way and just sort of let your energy focus here at the third eye. Be aware of all of the 8 directions. So if you're facing east, be aware that north is to your left and south is to your right and west is back there. And try and feel where all the directions are. Don't worry if you don't get it right. And then take an 8 breath sniff and sniff in 8 directions all of the 8 directions, and imagine that. So if I were to do that, let's see, this is south, I'm facing south, so now I'm imagining north behind me and west to my right and east to my left. And so I'm going to start here and I'm going to go in a clockwise fashion. In my mind, I'm going to imagine sniffing from each one of the 8 directions. Okay, so I would and that way you can imagine pulling in the energy from all of the 8 worlds. You can do, if you want to make it even more fun, you can do 8 sniffs in and 8 sniffs out. So you can just keep going in a clockwise direction where you're going to inhale from each one of the worlds, and then you're going to briefly hold, and then you're going to exhale and release into each one of the worlds, asking that world to take from you what you don't need but it can use. This is called a sacrifice. This is what a sacrifice is. When you give an offering, you are giving energy to that God or that direction or that whatever it is. So this you're going to give of your energy. For you, this is, the earth is a good example here because, the earth takes all of literally our crap and uses it to what? To create more life. So you don't need it, you don't want it, you don't want to hang on to it, it's not good for you, but the earth, in the proper way, wants that. It wants to take that from you and then use it. So we're going to do that same thing right now with each one of the worlds, and you don't have to think or figure it out. If you want to meditate on what those things are and meditate on the qualities of each of the worlds, you can do that, of course. But let's just pretend that we don't want to do that. And again, for me, facing west here, I'm just going to inhale energy from all of the 8 worlds. And now I'm going to exhale and release into each of the worlds all the stuff that I don't need, but that will empower each of the worlds. Okay, there you go. So there's a breath signature. Trust me, you do that long enough, you're going to get pretty high. Just all of the oxygen that you're putting into your body, and of course, all the life force energy, and that will teach you about the 8 worlds, and it will connect you in a very real, visceral way. So that's my gift for you today. I'll check and see if there's any more questions, and maybe we're done for today or not. All right, so Killing Munch, I don't know how to pronounce that. Question: what posture do you, all caps, like for meditation that is still? You mean what posture do I like for stillness meditation? I like to do the posture that I teach in the Hool breath. And I like it because I like having my feet flat on the floor. I like feeling my feet touching Mother Earth, and I like having the earth come up through my legs. I used to teach Kundalini yoga for years, so I did, half lotus a lot, some full lotus. I wasn't so great at that, but I did some of that. Now I couldn't do it if my life depended on it. But that's what I like. I prefer, with the Tao, it's a Taoist type of sitting meditation, so I like that. What postures have you liked and would you recommend for personal investigation? I don't have a specific one to recommend because everybody's different. I love doing, like I said, is one of the reasons that I've decided that I like regular just paddle surfboard surfing, because whenever I go surfing, I end up having to do a cobra pose just to be able to paddle in it. So I like that. I liked getting in cobra pose a lot. I liked getting into triangle pose, where you're standing with your feet flat on the ground and you make a triangle out of your body. I think that's called triangle pose. I really liked that. That's me, though. So I would recommend, if you're not clear on what kind of postures, go take a yoga class. If you want to learn standing postures with different mudras and that kind of stuff, those kinds of things I teach, you can go to, I think you can go to qigong.thunderwizard.com and you can get the, what did I call it? Medicine Wheel Qigong, which is really Thunder Wheel Qigong. But I called it Medicine Wheel because that was way back when and I wanted people to buy it, so I called it that. Medicine Wheel Qigong, and you'll learn how to do different standing postures for each one of the directions. That's pretty powerful as well. Okay, I don't see... Oh, I guess this is a question mark. Is Nam Myoho Renge Kyo a generic mantra? It's the Japanese Buddhism. It's like kind of a cult. There's a certain kind of cult that does Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. I don't even know what the Sanskrit pronunciation is, because you're hearing somebody in a thick Japanese accent pronouncing something that's gone through Tibetan and Chinese and then Japanese. So a lot of the Tibetan mantras are mispronounced. They don't pronounce them correctly. So I don't even know what Nam Myoho Renge Kyo is, but it's probably a mispronunciation of a Sanskrit thing. Is it a mantra like Om Mani Padme Hum, and will it conflict? Well, yeah, any mantra, whenever you're doing 2 mantras at once, they're going to conflict, even if they're coming from the same tradition. So it makes me want to know why you want to do Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, because if you know enough about that, that practice is kind of like the Japanese Buddhist The Secret version. You know, they're really into chanting to get stuff. And while there is a method to do that, I think that the mindset surrounding of the people that I met anyway, they were missing, you know, the whole idea that it was about the soul desire. So, but yes, anytime you're doing two mantras, regardless of what traditions they are, even if it's the same tradition, even if they're two mantras coming from me, specifically for you, you should focus on one. Don't do two, because whenever you do a mantra, that mantra is doing a very specific thing to your unconscious mind and your body and your aura. And there's a little rishi that sits on your head. So any mantra has like a deity that it's designed for, an energy, and then there's a rishi. The rishi is the person who saw it. So technically, I guess, as I'm talking out loud, if you do ones that I've synthesized, like the Thunar mantras that are the Iduna mantra, then that means I'm going to be sitting on your head because I'm the rishi who saw it, you know, and that's what that means. So you don't want to, you know, it's like you're getting 3 or 4 rishis fighting with each other because one's like, oh, she's chanting for me now, get off, and they're fighting over who gets to sit on the top of your head. But that's the idea, is that when you're doing a ritual mantra for like a 40-day ritual, there's a little guy sitting on your head. And he is going to be helping you and empowering you and guiding you in whatever way. So, you know, it's not good to do more than one for that reason. The other reason is it's not helpful for you in terms of discipline. You know, this is one thing Americans, that I suffer from it. I want to do it all the time. I'm just like everybody else. I want to do the next best thing. And I've experienced the best of the best, in my opinion. And I still want to learn. That's why I have 10 surfboards out there. I can only surf them one at a time. And I can only surf them at best every other day or every 2 or 3 days, because otherwise I'll just, you know, I'll get a back spasm or something because it's a lot of work. But I want the next best thing. I mean, I spend, you want to talk about guys wasting their time. I sit with my iPad and I'm searching and looking at all the different kinds of surfboards. I'm going to get that one next. And then I try and, you know, so don't. Pick one and stick with it. And don't get one out of another tradition unless you really know what you're doing. Thank you for asking, by the way. That was the right thing to do, asking me if that was a good idea. So no, it's not a good idea. And I don't recommend the Nam Myoho Renge Kyo sect anyway. That's just my own personal take. I think that they don't understand what the point is. I think they've missed it. And they're on some other little thing that really won't give them happiness, in my opinion. Human being question, why every time I do yoga or qigong, after 2 or 3 days I will get sick, fever, back pain, shoulders blocked, and one time I ended up in emergency because big pain in my intestine with a lot of blood. Well, again, you're asking me this huge question as though I have the answer to it. I don't know. And you're giving me a really huge, serious physical problem. I'm not going to touch that because I don't know if you need to be talking to a doctor or not. I don't know what your problem is. So why is it every time? I mean, I don't know what kind of yoga you're doing. I don't know if you're getting it from a teacher who knows what they're doing. I mean, I'm a Qigong teacher. I'm not a Tai Chi teacher. But because of the Qigong and the martial arts and the internal martial arts that I've done, which follow a lot of the same principles, I can go to a person's Tai Chi class and I can know within 3 seconds whether or not they know what they're doing. And I've followed people with, you know, bad form, and I ended up in a lot of pain afterwards because they didn't know what they were doing. So I don't know if you're doing yoga or qigong from people who don't know what they're doing and they're making you sick. I don't know if you're doing what I said earlier where you're combining different traditions. I don't know any of that. So it would be really irresponsible for me to try and answer your question there. What I can tell you is that you seem to be manifesting a lot of chaos. You can't sleep. You're manifesting a lot of pain in your body. Let's just assume for argument's sake that the yoga and or the qigong you're doing is accurate and correct and helpful for you. Then you're really toxic. And your body, if you're getting sick, fever, back pain, shoulders blocked, you're really toxic and your body is releasing the toxins, and or you have a lot of unconscious resistance, because if you do it right, then all of your unconscious feelings are going to come to the surface, and you're going to have to feel all that stuff and release it. And one of the ways that we resist it is by being sick. Illness is a way to resist emotional evolution. So again, I'm only going by the information that you've given me since we've been on here. The information that I've gotten leads me to suspect, I don't know, but it makes me suspect you have a lot of unconscious emotional issues. And this is why all this trauma comes out every time you try and fix yourself. Anyway, again, that's based on the limited information you've given me. I could be wrong. All right. Looking for the questions. I'm not seeing anything. All right, no more questions. So let's do a little bit more of some ads, and then I'll have something pithy to say, or something, a final thought. And yeah, see you in a couple minutes. Okay, so last minute check to see if there's any questions here, and then we'll call it an evening. Okay. David Solis, again, anybody wants to ask me a question, please put question ahead of it so you catch my attention. Otherwise, I think you're just leaving a comment or talking to somebody else. What do you say about the Wim Hof method? What I say about the Wim Hof method is, why are you asking me about somebody else's method? You're on my channel and you're asking me, who cares what I think? It's just an opinion. Also, I know you don't mean it this way, but it's disrespectful to me. I know you don't mean that. You have no disrespect intended, but it's disrespectful. I get it now. I get now that I'm a teacher and I've been doing this for a while, I get why all the stuff that used to be like, you can't say this to a teacher and you can't say that. I get it now. It prevents me from being able to be helpful to you. If you want to know about the Wim Hof method, ask Wim Hof about his method. Don't ask me, because I don't teach it, I don't practice it, I don't know anything about it. And whatever opinions I may have about it, who cares? Who cares? Ask me about what I teach. Learn enough about what I teach and ask me what I teach and what I think about this certain thing about what I teach. That's how I can best be helpful to you. So that's the, sorry, David Solis, you're probably new to my channel. That's usually new people want to come on and ask about other teachers and all that. Again, it's disrespectful to them, it's disrespectful to you, it's disrespectful to me, and it doesn't help you. Okay, so there you go. All right, so that's it for today, guys. So let's see. You know, what is it that I want to say today? I was really thinking about I've been thinking about this a lot, obviously. For those of you who have been following me, you know what I've been through. I think I've been really, really thinking about this a lot. But, you know, the little Yahoo article that had the woman's last thoughts about what was important in life and what we should focus on. You know, I've really been thinking about that, and I really want to experience everything I can, and I'm learning that, you know, I can do that, that you really can just really enjoy life. And if you're not enjoying life, then it's important to sit and ask yourself what you can do about it. Are you living where you're supposed to be living? If there's something that you want to do with your life, go do it. You know, now that I'm approaching, you know, 55 is winking at me. And just right up there winking at me. And, you know, once you get to be 55, I mean, that's it. You're now, I mean, you know, in terms of, there's no going back from 55. And, you know, when you're 55, where I live in Southern California, they have these mobile home communities that you can only, you know, purchase a house there if you're 55 or over. So I'm getting to the point now where I'm old enough to get one of those, which is great. It's actually sounding good because they're so inexpensive, and some of them are right next to the beach. And, but, you know, now that I'm really realizing that, I want to appreciate everything I have while I still have the strength to enjoy it. That's why I'm really just, and, you know, listen, I'm in good health for my age. And a lot of people, you know, some people can tell how old I am, but a lot of people can't. And if you put me next to a lot of people my age, they look 20 years older than me. And they can't do anywhere near what I can do. And I'm telling you, I can feel myself, you know, I'm starting to lose some of my stamina. I just can't, you know, I can't surf for 4 hours at a time. I just can't do it anymore. But the point is that now that, you know, the prospect of that someday going away and the reality of that becoming more clear to me, I want to appreciate everything. I want to get the last drop out of every, you know, if you see me, I squeeze my tea, and when it's done, I squeeze the little tea bags into my cup. And now I have this wonderful, really strong last few sips of tea in there. I want to do that with my life. And I don't want to let anything get in the way of that. And that was basically what she said, is just go to have that and don't let anything stop you. You know, when I was even in my 40s, but especially in my 20s and 30s, I thought a lot of my thinking was, well, you know, right now I'll do this because then later I'll be able to, you know, I'll do that later. You know, you put it off because whatever it is you think you're supposed to do. And if I could go back, I would tell myself to just have fun, whatever the hell it was, because none of it matters. All the stuff you think you're going to achieve, it's all meaningless. It means nothing, especially if it's keeping you from what makes you happy. You know, are you happy where you live? Are you happy whatever it is that you're doing for a living? Are you happy with your relationships? Are you getting the most out of your relationship? Are you giving as much as you possibly can to your partner? If you were to not see your partner again tomorrow, if they were to disappear for whatever reason, knock on plastic, let's hope that never happens, would you be able to say that I have said everything I need to say and I have no regrets? That was one of the blessings I had with Lisa. You know, we knew that there was a good chance throughout most of the relationship that she might not be here for very long. And especially towards the end, it became pretty clear. At least I knew, she wasn't going to be here much longer. And I made sure that I got the most out of that I gave everything I could possibly give to her, and that I let nothing stand in the way. And I made sure that every time that I left her, drive home, and if I wasn't going to see her for a couple of days, I made sure that I had nothing left to say, so that I could sleep knowing that I had nothing between us. You know, and we didn't have any kind of relationship where I needed to confess or anything like that. And that's not what I'm saying. It's just like, you know, did you tell them that you loved them? Did you mean it? Are you with somebody that you don't want to be with? Are you wasting your time with somebody that you're not? Should you be alone? You know, you only have so much time. in this body. And every moment that you spend doing things that don't take you closer to your deepest happiness is essentially time that's wasted. And if you live the way that I'm talking about, you will never need to have coffee, cigarettes, drugs, video games. You will never need those things to get you out of whatever feelings of unhappiness or misery or boredom that you're feeling. And, you know, for me, I wouldn't be happy if I wasn't living here. This is the beach I want to live on. I want to travel and explore other ones, but I'm telling you, there isn't any other surfing spot I want to live next to. I don't have the greatest love for Los Angeles. It's a big, giant, you know, megalopolis. I don't have any love for that. But I love this beach. It's the funnest, happiest, most sacred beach for me. And the waves are great and the most consistent surf anywhere in California. I wouldn't live anywhere else. So I just want everybody to have that as well. And that's really what I want to focus on today. The meditation is just an excuse to just talk and answer questions. So anyway, that's it for me, unless there's any last minute questions. I don't see anything. Cosmo Joe, question, isn't physical immortality a goal of yours? I don't know that I ever said that. It was at one point, 20-something years ago. It would be, I guess it would be fun, but to be honest, I don't know where this world is headed, and I don't know if I want to be here forever. You know, if it keeps, you know, if it keeps going down the tubes like it is, and you know, if global warming and overpopulation and all that continues to destroy my beloved nature, I don't know how much longer I want to experience that. Anyway, I'm not wishing that. We have the power to take the world back and make it whatever we want. So forget I just said that. But you know, I wanted physical immortality, to be honest with you, because I was afraid and I was insecure. Just like I wanted superpower. I wanted to be the badass, the most invincible fighter on the planet. And that's what my energy work was about. I did a lot of spirit fighting energy so that I could be invincible. All insecurity. It ended up helping me and it ended up giving me a lot, and that's my Aruda, so it was my Orlog to follow that. But I don't have that feeling that I want to be physically immortal. I don't. It doesn't matter. You're already immortal. That's the illusion. You're already a god. You're already immortal. You're already infinite. You're already invincible. You're already prosperous. You're already everything. Whatever it is that you want, you're already that. This is the thing that I've come to find out. And now that's why I talk about it in terms of a matrix in a game. If I was infinite, I wouldn't be able to surf, because I would be... You need the limitation in order to have fun. I need to be 5'9" in order to be able to surf a 4 or 5 or 6 foot wave and have it mean something to me. If I was 100 feet tall, it wouldn't mean anything. See what I mean? So who cares about any of that stuff? I don't know why you asked that question, but yeah, it was a long time ago. It's not my goal anymore. All right, let's see. Any more questions? Whoop. Hang on here. Cosmo Joe question. All of the Taoist and methods for physical and spiritual immortality methods, which would you say actually achieve that, since they all claim it? Well, in order to answer that, I would have had to practice all of them and be able to say, I haven't even mastered the ones that I have. So how can I mean, by mastered meaning completely perfected. I mean, I haven't. Here's the thing about a true path. It's an infinite path. So if I focus on wanting to master spirit fighting, that's an infinite path. That is an infinite number of lifetimes. A real path, a real true, spiritual path is every time you open it up a little more, a whole new universe expands within it. Then you get inside that one and you master that one, and then you open that up. So there's never the assumption behind the question I don't agree with, which is that, you know, I would have to know that. I mean, so I don't know. I've dabbled with more than a few, and I've had differing experiences. Some of them have been really powerful, and some of them have been stuff I really liked. I have just accepted that I'm a spirit fighter, and that's what I'm supposed to focus on. And I have no expectations or agenda to master it, because it's impossible. And I have no expectations or agenda to get to the level of the teachers that I had. I just don't care anymore about that. So to be able to answer your question would mean that I would care. And they can all achieve it, but the thing is that which would you say achieve? I mean, a lot of them do that. So I don't know why you're asking me. You're asking me because you want to know which are the best ones so you can go do it? I don't even know I could answer that question. Just go have fun, man. Just do the ones you like. That's all that matters. The ones I do are the ones that make me the most happy, and that's why I do them. Thank you for your question, by the way. All right, so there you go. All right, that's it for me today, my friends. So let's see. If you want information on the Vedic Astrology Certification course, go to info@thundershamanism.com and leave me an email with, even if you just put astrology course in the heading, I'll know what you're talking about, and I will let you all know. Keep your eyes peeled. I'm still thinking about this 3-1s method, and I haven't decided how I'm going to share that, if I'm going to do it publicly or if I'm going to do it as a service or if I'm going to teach it as a class, or I don't know. I haven't decided yet. But keep your eyes peeled for that. You know, the best way to support this channel, if you want to support what I'm doing, is to go to thunderwizard.com and subscribe at the $25 level, which will give you access to all of the videos that I do, which are just for the shamanism students. If you watch all the videos starting from the beginning, you scroll all the way down, keep clicking more videos or whatever it is, go all the way to the bottom and start from the beginning, you will learn step by step what it is that I teach, and you will be able to learn some incredibly powerful methods of shamanism, of ritual, of qigong, runes, and meditation and other things. And not only will you get all kinds of wonderful benefits out of it, but you will be supporting this channel. And so I want to get to the point where I have initially 250 subscribers at that level. I want this message, because I'm seeing the more that I do it, the more that I let it go, the more that I release it, I am seeing that it's really impacting people, and some people are saying it's been the most powerful, helpful thing in their life. I'm not saying that to toot my own horn. You guys know I don't do that. But I know that I am now part of I'm with you. I'm part of something that's bigger than me. And it's bigger than us. And it's here to help. And it's something the universe has decided to give to the rest of the world. And I just simply am the one who thinks that he's coming up with it and sharing it with you guys. And a lot of you guys that I've worked with are more powerful than I am. And the truth is that, when I'm gone or when I retire or whenever I'm done with this, you guys are going to take all this stuff that I'm giving and you're going to turn it into whatever it's going to turn into. Because some of you I already know have more potential than I do. And I'm honored to be able to be teaching some of you. I've mentioned some of you already. You know who you are. And if you don't, I guess that's good. keeps you humble. So that's it for me, my friends. Thank you so much. Until next time, get the most out of life. Forget about all this. Forget about all the garbage. Just go have fun. And don't let anything. Be ruthless. I love the way that she used that word. Be ruthless about having everything you want in this life, and be ruthless about protecting your own happiness from other people's negativity. Be ruthless about joy. Okay, that's all. I'm done. Talk to you guys later.